Welcome to the Michael Zehr Show, coming to you live from the Warrior Healing Studios, or Warrior Healing Center here at the Rising Eagle Studios. Let's see, today's date, I always mess it up, is Friday, July 22nd. And today's special guest is Mr. Ray, or Mark. Where did I get Ray from?
I'll be ready.
Mark. Okay. I'm going to make you Ray, though, right? It's Mr. Mark A. Rodriguez, and he's going to share with us some of his military history and some of his hobbies. And he brought a few items to share with us here, which I'm excited to go over with you guys. So be a very interesting interview. So, Mark, Councilman, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I was really excited to do this interview because I met Mark. Is it okay if I call you Mark?
Sure, Mark is perfect.
I met Mark at the July 4th DAV booth, and he was walking around, and I saw his badge on it, and councilman, and he came up to us and engaged with us. So I was talking with him, and he said, yeah, he's a veteran. And didn't you say your daughter is active duty now?
I'm a military dad now, so I'm on the other side of things now. It's very strange transition for me, but I'm enjoying it.
And I'm sure you're very proud of her.
I'm super proud. Super proud dad moment when I went to go see her basic training graduation about 3 weeks ago in Paris Island.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's awesome. So he came up and like I said, we talked, and he said that he was a veteran, and I asked him if he'd be interested in coming on and doing the live stream today, and he said that he would love to do that. So here we are, and if you have any questions for myself or for Mark, please put them in the comment section, and we will be more than happy to pop them up onto the screen there for you and then answer them. So here we go. On with the show.
Yes. I appreciate the invite as well. Again, DAV did a lot for me when I was doing through my retirement and my transition, helping my VA rating, things like that, which is very important to veterans. I think it's very important that they should have all the resources they need. Just one of the many resources we have out there in Cochise County and Sierra Vista. And they definitely helped me personally. It was an easy transition for me thanks to the DAV. So I'm very thankful for those guys that helped me. Unfortunately, some of the people have not had as much luck as I did.
Right.
And they're still working on there, and I can encourage them to still fight and to get everything that's definitely due to them. But I'm glad there's organizations out there like the DAV that want to help. So that's why when I saw the booth, I was like, I will definitely come in and talk to you guys.
And that was great that you came over and sat down and talked with us, because it's so nice to get that recognition from other veterans, that they realize, okay, yeah, hey, I know what you guys are doing for us, and we appreciate it, but we also want to be able to have other veterans in the community take advantage of that all that is offered, not only through the DAV, but a lot of the different service organizations here in our community.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot, and I like places like this at the Warrior Healing Center, where a lot of places are trying to come under one roof, help each other out, and not be so divided. Just different groups that don't support each other. I don't really see that here at all, especially under this building, under this rooftop. Every time I've been in this building, it's different organizations working together for the same cause, for just making sure veterans know that there's resources out there for them.
Well, it's for the betterment of the community and the betterment of our veterans that we're out here doing this. At least that's what got me involved, because I was sitting at home and right before the pandemic hit, and I was like, I got to do something. I'm tired of just sitting at home and my life not accounting or meaning for anything. Yeah. And when I heard of the Warrior Healing Center and I got involved with them, it was one of the best decisions that I have ever made. And I'm so happy to still be with them, I think, almost a year and a half now.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I'm thankful for people like you that, still want to continue to serve our community. After your formal service is done, we can all serve in different ways.
Right.
And I like that everybody can just find their certain way to serve. And it's different things. Like you said, yourself, you found the Warrior Healing Center. You do these amazing podcasts. Some people support in different ways. from whatever they can, and it's always appreciated no matter what. It's just kind of just in us, it's that service that we have in us, and it's hard for us to not do anything. It kind of wears on us if we just sit at home. So we'd seen that as veterans, we tend to be always busy and involved in doing something because that's all we know. That's all we know, and we've been there, and we just know that it's good to give back. And somebody out there may need your help. You never know, but you just help that one person, and you can change their life.
And it's amazing that it can be anything small. It could be a small little gesture like a handshake or a smile or a good morning to something big like helping out a homeless vet who is struggling and needs to come off the streets and needs a place to live. I mean, there's just so many different ranges of things that we do. Well, when I say we, it's actually the Warrior Healing Center, but I know that aren't they also connected? Well, because I do want to get with your military service too, so we need to get on that. But just real quick, the city is also involved in some of that, or is that?
Yeah, so
with veterans, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So putting on my city hat, as a councilman, we try to, as a city entity, we definitely want to support any of those organizations out there, and whatever way it can, whether it's, if they want to use city facilities, offering those at a discounted rate or whatever, we can always look at that as well and work on those things and offer those things, because we definitely want to support our veterans. One of our biggest parks is Veterans Memorial Park right here in Sierra Vista.
Amen.
And there's obviously the organization there that's trying to work on that memorial part of that park, and I love that they're still getting the money together, and they have a vision to fix up that part of the park to make it even better. I mean, there's obviously a memorial part there, but I love the vision that they have, and they want to make it a lot bigger and nicer for all the veterans in the area. Because like I said, it is called Veterans Memorial Park.
Right.
And we do a lot of events in that park. So, and if it wasn't for the veterans that park is named after, we wouldn't have that space. So we definitely support any of those entities like that. And when it comes to nonprofits or any other businesses for veterans, there's funding out there, and we always open it up for anybody to apply. And a lot of people have taken advantage of those things that we offer from the city.
Well, one of the things that I like about the proposed memorial that they're working on is instead of it being a memorial just to all veterans, now they're wanting to open that up and start identifying and recognizing each service: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, Space Force.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I like that you can purchase a brick and things like that, I believe, is part of their plan. And I like to see that because it kind of makes it a little bit more personal to you. If you have a veteran you want to honor personally, you can support them that way.
That's awesome. So let's get into the military aspect of your life. Where were you living at, and what inspired you to join the military?
Right. So I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. So it was 1996. In the 90s, a lot was going on. City in big cities like that, just nothing. Obviously, it's a great city, but in the 90s there was a lot of stuff going on where there was a lot of gangs, a lot of stuff like that going on. Not a lot of positive things for teenagers. So I knew I had to just get away and do something totally different. And the quickest way I could get out of town was to join the military. So I knew I had to finish high school. So as soon as I had enough credits, I didn't even want to graduate. That's how quickly I wanted to get out of the city and just go do something. But they said, no, you're going to walk the stage. You're going to do that part. And I'm glad I did, for my family. Just kind of like the way when it comes to promotion ceremonies and retirement ceremonies, it's not so much for us. It's really for your family.
Right.
And that's kind of how I started off with that. But as soon as I could, I went to the recruiter. And, I just like most high school students, I had seen them throughout my years. And I see them in the cafeteria, and they try to talk to you, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, man, get out of my face. I'll never do that, And then my senior year, when I just said, you know what, I need to get out of here, and so I did everything I needed to do. I walked in the recruiting station. My recruiter probably fell out of his chair when he saw me walk in because he's like, Mark, are you lost? And I was like, nope, I'm ready to join. I want to join today. I want to leave tomorrow. And he was like, whoa, well, we can try, but it doesn't work that way. I said, well, as soon as you can do that. So, and I said, I'm not telling anybody. I didn't tell my parents. I was already 18 years old.
Okay.
So I went, I took the test, I did the ASVAB, did the physical, and then I picked my job, and then came home, and my dad still has back then we didn't have cell phones. so we couldn't just text or things. So my parents were gone, so I left a note. My dad still has it. It's a paper plate, and I wrote
a paper plate.
Yeah, it's a paper plate. It says, "I joined the Army today. I leave September 3rd," and I signed it Private Rodriguez. And I kind of left, and I went out with my friends, and then I think my mom. I think I had a pager, so my mom sent me a page or something, and she said, "Hey, what's this thing you left us on the table?" And I said, "Oh, I joined. By the way, I joined the Army today, and I leave in September. I'm in the delayed entry program, so this was in May. So I knew I had till September, so I had a summer to still keep working and kind of say my goodbyes and get everything in order." And they were like, "Wow, like I thought we could have talked about it before, maybe." And I said, "No, I'm 18, and I need to do something." So that's what I did. And of course, like most people said, I was going to do 4 years and just get out. 21 years later, and that's when I finally retired. But that's how I started in San Antonio, Texas.
So you were looking for a challenge then.
Yes.
Something that was just like totally out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. And travel, getting out, that was kind of my motivation. GI Bill, we weren't really, people were just coming back from Desert Storm. So we weren't really a nation at war at the time.
Okay.
So that wasn't really my motivation. But I was obviously okay with it if it ever happened. I remember watching TV, watching the Desert Storm guys go out there and thinking, wow, that's, I wasn't old enough at the time, I was still in school, but just watching it on TV thinking, man, these guys are awesome. These are amazing veterans that are out there doing stuff like that. Somalia, all that stuff was going on while I was in high school. So, and then when it came time for me to join, like I said, all those guys are kind of just coming back, and we were kind of in a reset mode as a military. And then, when I first joined, I went to Korea. That was my first assignment over to South Korea with 2nd Infantry Division. And I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I went to Infantry Division first.
That was your MOS?
No, I'm Intel.
Intel? Okay.
I'm an Intel guy. I'm a geospatial analyst. 35 Golf. It used to be called 96 Delta when I first joined in, but then we changed the numbering of the MOSs of the CMF. But yeah, I went to Division first, and I always tell everybody I'm glad I did that first, because nothing can suck worse after that. After that, everything was kind of cake compared to my first year being in Infantry Division up on the DMZ. But I love it. I wouldn't change a thing, and I'm glad it started that way, and it kind of set me up, I think, to be for the rest of my career, starting that way.
I talked to a lot of veterans that have been on the DMZ,
Mm-hmm.
and they said that it's kind of like, I don't know if mind-blowing is the right word, but to have that kind of tension, to be one gunshot away from another conflict starting up or something like that is just...
It's amazing, yeah. I mean, you stand there, you look at them, they're looking at you, and you're just kind of... There's like an imaginary line. There's a bridge, there's a building, the Panmunjom area, and, we're training on one side, they're training on their side, and we can see them. But like you said, just one gunshot, one step across there or them this way, and another conflict can start, because it's never been a peace. It's just been a ceasefire.
Right.
We're technically still at war with North Korea.
Right.
It's just been a ceasefire. There was never a peace agreement signed.
And you were in South Korea for how long?
That time I was there for a year.
For 1 year.
That was my first assignment.
Okay.
And then I went to DC after that, to the capital area.
Okay.
Loved it, and I thought I was going to get out after that, because my 4 years was about up. So I started looking into things like Secret Service and things like that.
Oh, wow.
Along those lines. And I was kind of leaning that way. And then I had a buddy of mine, or he was, at the time, he was my retention NCO. Now he's a Chief Warrant Officer 5. Now he's a CW5 Jaggers. He's still serving. But he was the one that talked me into being a recruiter. And so, me being Specialist Rodriguez said, "Oh, that's a great idea." Well, I said, "You know what? If you can get me back to San Antonio, Texas, where I'm from, I will go be a recruiter." And I didn't think he could make it happen. I thought, no, he's not going to be able to do it. About 2 days later, during PT, he came out with a folder. He goes, "Here you go. I got you. You're going to San Antonio, Texas if you sign."
Wow.
So I said, "Well, I told you if you can get it, I would do it." So I did it. So then I went to go be a recruiter in San Antonio, Texas for a while.
How did you like that? I mean,
in a recruiting, it's funny. It hasn't changed too much, because I still talk to people that are coming out of recruiting, and they come to my class because I'm still an instructor here on the fort. But I hated a lot of it, but I made it my own. I just like most things in the military, you figure out your niche and you figure out what works for you. It's definitely a thankless job, and you got to figure out. I loved seeing somebody I'd see in the Walmart parking lot walking with a job application. Seeing from that So then coming back from basic training and saying, I was able to focus that person and redirect their life until join the military. So that's the part that was the most, I didn't care about any award or any eval.
Right.
To me, it was just seeing people like that I met at job fairs that just came in and said, hey, I'm looking for some direction in life. And I said, I can show you, I can just tell you about my story. I can tell you how the Army worked for me. And that was definitely, I got a lot of gratification from that.
Did any of the soldiers that you recruited, did they ever come back and thank you and
they did
talk with you?
Yeah, they did. A lot of them did. I got a couple of nasty letters from basic training, like as you would imagine, because people hate it, just like I did the first few weeks. But it was amazing because about after halfway in, those letters changed to a little bit more gratitude and thanks, and and they would come back and say, hey, thank you, appreciate it. And I actually got to do recruiting again later on in my career. They did a program where they brought the Army, the numbers were kind of down. So they said, hey, if you were a successful recruiter, come back and help us out again. So I got to do it actually a second time. And it's the same thing. You get to meet people. And I still communicate with them now that we have social media and things like that.
Right.
I still connect with them, and they still send me messages every now and then.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
What unit are you assigned to when you're doing recruiting there, like when you were in San Antonio?
Yeah, so I was assigned to USAREC. From USAREC, they sent you out to the different battalions that are out there.
Okay.
And so I was in West Company there in San Antonio Battalion when I was recruiting.
Is that out of Fort Sam?
Yeah, the company's there on Fort Sam, Houston.
Okay.
And my office was on Fredericksburg Road, kind of on the northwest side of San Antonio. It was the particular office I worked in.
I had AIT there in 1977, right. And I remember going there, and at the time they had this really cool amusement park with this like wooden rail roller coaster. I forget what the name of it was. I've talked to some people from San Antonio. They don't seem to remember the theme park.
Yeah, I think that is, I know what that's at. It's off of Broadway. It was called Fun. And I remember because for when I was growing up, it was still there, but it wasn't in operation anymore. But some of the older rides were still kind of there, hanging around. I can't remember the name of that park. I'd have to ask my parents because I know they know. But it's off Broadway.
Yeah, it's
I remember that place.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious because I always ask people when I talk to them that are from San Antonio if they remember it. We had one in Phoenix that I don't think it lasted very long. I forget what the name of that one was too, and then you have like job opportunities from these companies. Then when they close, then there go the jobs.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
So after you're done with your recruiting at San Antonio, what was your next?
After that, then I went to my first joint assignment. I went to MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
And I just got blown away by the joint life. It was my first time working with all the services, all different ranks. And I was with, I started doing targeting there, and we were part of the big shock and awe campaign in Baghdad. So that definitely changed my life. It was a big turning point for me in my military career because from that point, 9/11 happened. So I got there in September of 2001, and I was enjoying Tampa, Florida. It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Right.
It was a great. They said, "Hey, I was working with the Air Force, so they're like, well, we'll call you Mark. You're not sergeant anything. Is that okay?" I'm like, "Sure." It was kind of a transition for me being Army.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah, being Army, but. I got used to it, and they said, "Oh, yeah, you guys wake up, you do your little formation thing and your PT thing, and that's fine. Just do what you got to do as Army guy, and then just come to work." So I loved it, and then a month later, 9/11 happened, and it kind of turned our whole world upside down, especially Centcom, where I was working, and turned that whole place upside down. And we went from a nation at peace to a nation at war overnight, and after that, it got crazy, and everybody started deploying. And that's where I got my first deployment, was out of Centcom.
The only word I can describe watching that on TV at the time was horrific.
Yeah.
It was just a horrific event that happened to our country. I think that we responded appropriately.
Right.
And I think that if I remember correctly, if we'd have kept going, we could have taken them all out, but we got to a certain point and stopped. And so... so you're in Centcom, you said, right?
I was.
And where did you go from there then?
So from Centcom, like I said, I got my first deployment over to Iraq.
So you did go to Iraq?
I did.
Okay.
I went to Baghdad. We started off in Qatar, And then from Qatar, I went into Baghdad. And then from Baghdad, I went into Fallujah. And then after Fallujah, came back to Tampa. And then from there, we went to Korea again for my second time. This time with a different, instead of being in infantry division, I was in special operations now. So then I went to Special Operations Command Korea. So I went to SOC Corps. And I was there supposed to be a year, but then I ended up extending because I love the unit. I love the mission. I love special operations. And so I stayed another year. And then I would have stayed a third year. But they offered me San Antonio, Texas. And,
Again.
yeah, so this time not as a recruiter. And at the time I had a daughter. And
I was going to ask you if you were married at the time that you were deployed. So.
At the time, yeah, I was. I had my ex, and I had one at that time. At that time, I had just my daughter. My daughter, who's a Marine now.
Okay.
So she traveled a little bit when she was. When she was a baby. She was in South Korea, and then we went to. Like I said, we got the opportunity to go to San Antonio. So then I took it, and because I wanted her to meet family. Because most military families, wherever you're from, your kids don't really know. They don't get to grow up and hang out and go to birthday parties and things like that. So I thought if I can get my daughter at least a few years of that, where she can recognize her cousins and her aunt and her aunts, all that stuff like that, uncles and grandparents, spend time with them. I would love for my daughter to have that opportunity, and so she did. And then while I was there in San Antonio, my ex got pregnant and I had twins. So those are the other two of my kids, all born in San Antonio, all born in the same hospital. It just worked out that way. They were all born at Wilford Hall on Lackland Air Force Base. So I was there in San Antonio for 2 years, and then I was about halfway into my career. I was about 10-year mark, and I was kind of again, here I go. Do I get out? Or do I go forward? Because once you cross that 10-year mark, it's kind of like, well, you might as well stay to retirement.
Yeah. So
that's where I was at, and the Army kind of made the choice for me because at my 10-year mark, they put me on orders to deploy again to Iraq, and I said, "Well,
so
here we go."
That was your second tour.
That was my second tour. So that time I was with Task Force Odin. So
that could have been easy on your daughters to.
Yeah, it was tough.
Know that Daddy's over there.
Yeah, so now she was older. She could understand a lot more. She knew what was going on in the world, and so my twins, they were babies.
Were they girls, twins, or
no? They're one of each, boy, girl.
So you have 2 girls and 2 daughters.
I do, yeah,
and a son. Okay.
That's what yeah, exactly. So like at that point, my daughter was a little older. She knew what was going on. My twins, not so much. They were pretty small still at the time. But yeah, so then I went to Iraq for a year, again with the counter IED task force because we were having a big problem, obviously, with IEDs, hitting vehicles. So part of my job was to find these IED implacers before that happened. And kind of alert vehicles incoming, or tell the engineers, hey, I need you guys to go. We saw some guys emplacing on the IED. I need you guys to go blow it up. Or if we were fortunate, we'd have an asset on station that had something like a Hellfire missile, so we could just stop them and stop the threat right there as we saw it happening.
When you came across the IED, what did you have to do? Like call in EOD or something, or were you guys able to just shoot it and take it out yourselves? Or
so we had our engineers, and that was their main mission. There was to clear roads, right?
Okay.
So we had so we would see it overhead from our UAVs, and we'd mark the location, kind of still watch overhead, and kind of watch and see what they were doing. And then once we passed the word, we had engineers in the area. They'd go out there and blow it, or we put out a message to everybody in their vehicles saying, hey, we saw something being placed this location. Just be aware that we haven't had an engineer. The engineers weren't able to go out there and clear the route yet. So that is still probably an active IED.
So they can be spotted with drones then, huh?
Yes,
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Definitely.
Wow. So you're in Iraq for your second tour. Mm-hmm. How long were you there for?
A year.
For 1 year?
I was there for 1 year. Yes, sir.
And the thing that amazes me about being in the military, like what you were saying, if you joined at 18, mm-hmm. you serve your 20 years, you retire, you're 38 years old. You've got your whole life ahead of you.
Yeah.
You've got retirement money coming in, health care, benefits, hopefully still. It always seems to be changing with the healthcare benefits.
Yeah, we always make that joke that we're still trying to figure out what we want to do when we grow up. Because when we retire, I was 39 when I retired because I did 21 years. So it's like, well, now what do I do with my life? What do I do when I grow up? We always make that joke because it is people always say, "You retired?" You know, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
wow.
You don't look old enough, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, before I forget, let's give your kids a shout out here real
Yeah.
quick. Give us their names.
So my daughter Alicia, she's my Marine. She's out in San Diego right now doing her MCT training
Okay.
out there in Camp Onofre. So any Marines might know that area out there. And then my daughter and son, Marcus and Marissa, my twins, who are traveling right now as well. They're going to a wedding. So those are my kids. And then I have my stepkids with my fiance Nancy. So we have Melanie, who's getting married this weekend. Her and her fiance Roberto are getting married. I'm actually officiating the wedding.
Wow!
Congratulations! I'm an ordained minister as well.
Cool.
Another one of the hats I have.
Another one of your trades,
yeah.
huh?
So I'll be doing that. I'll be officiating that ceremony in Tucson. And then we have John, who just graduated from Buena last year. He's 18. And then Maya, who's 16.
Go Colts.
Yeah. And then Maya, she's our 16-year-old. So we have a lot of teens, and then we have and I can't forget my grandbaby Alicia. That's Melanie's daughter. She's 4 years old.
Wow.
So I have my daughter Alicia, and I have the grandbaby Alicia. Yeah, it's great. And when they're all in the house, it's the best thing when we get them all in one place. They all have their own lives. They have a lot of things going on, and I love it. But I do love when we all end up in the same place because it's amazing. It's a big old chaotic function, but I love it. It's just good to have them all in one place.
And isn't it great being a grandpa?
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Really, isn't it like the best feeling to be around your grandkids?
It is. It is. It's a great feeling, and I was made an honorary Tata. She calls me Tata, and I love it. I love it because you can spoil them.
Yeah.
And then they go back home.
And then when they act up back to the parents.
Yeah, and I can always tell when she's been in our house because she leaves her little trail of things, her little favorite things, and things that she likes to play with. And I can always tell if I come home and I see it that she's been there.
That's what I mean. God love them.
Yes.
They're God's gift to us for sure.
Yes, definitely.
So after you came back from Iraq, and then how many years had you had in at that time?
At that time, I was at about 13 years.
So you had decided at that time pretty much you were going to make it a career?
Yes.
And what was your next station after that?
So from that, I went back to support Special Operations. I went to Special Operations Command South, SOC South, which is in Homestead, Florida.
In Florida? Okay.
South Miami. So Homestead Air Reserve Base. Used to be Homestead Air Force Base.
Got a good racetrack there for NASCAR.
Yeah, NASCAR's there. Yeah, exactly. But they had a big hurricane that wiped out that base at one time. Hurricane Andrew wiped out that Air Force base, and it was a huge deal. I mean, they lost the commander got relieved. They lost aircraft. It was a big mess. But that little air reserve base is coming back little by little. The location is a good location because it's the southernmost pretty much base that we have to fly into South America, Central America, to the islands, things like that. So yeah, I was with Special Ops Command South, SOC South. So I spent a lot of time down in Colombia, Peru, places like that, training their special operations soldiers, and it was good. It was a good time.
Do you speak a lot of different languages? Being an intel, or
yeah, so I grew up speaking Spanish, and I honed my skills in the military with my Spanish language. While I was in San Antonio, that unit went out to. It was funny because we have a lot of Spanish speakers in San Antonio. Obviously, that we had linguists there. But then they deployed all the linguists to Iraq. So all of our Spanish speakers went to Iraq. But we still had a mission in San Antonio. So they said, hey, you speak Spanish? We'll take you. So then I got to go to Central America that time. Honduras, Belize, places like that. Just because of my language to interpret and things like that.
Right.
So I enjoyed that. In Korea, I picked up on Hangul and Tagalog because we had a lot of Filipinos there with Koreans and it's funny, a lot of the pronunciations are very similar to Spanish, so it was easy for me to pick up enough conversational words to kind of, just enough to be dangerous, just enough to get myself in trouble, But so yeah, I was able to pick up a little bit of language like that. But for the most part, I've been able to practice my Spanish the most, especially when I was stationed. When I was a recruiter in San Antonio, there's a very heavy Hispanic population there. So talking to parents and grandparents,
came in handy.
Definitely came in handy. They'd call me in. Sometimes I'd be the closer. You'd have somebody, and they'd say, hey, their parents...
Warm him up in the bullpen. Here comes the closer.
They'd call me up and say, hey, Hot Rod, their parents only speak Spanish. Can you come to this address? I'd be like, all right, I'm on the way. So I kind of talk to the parents and tell them about what their children are about to do. But then again, back to Miami, I definitely, if you ever been to Miami, it's like definitely a different country down there. It's a different world. And Spanish is the first language in Miami, so it definitely came in handy being stationed down there. But I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the mission and supporting the special operators down there in that part of the world.
Well, there's a lot of Cubans in that area.
Yes.
And my Spanish teacher from high school, and this was like 1972, 1973, right. I took 2 years of Spanish back then. Well, he was Cuban.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the words that he would use, what might be in a Cuban context or whatever, but translated over that same word into Spanish or like, it could be a whole different, like one of them was, I don't know why I remember this word, but pájaro.
Pájaro, right?
Right? I don't know why I remember that word, but it's a bird in one dialect, and it's like a sissy or something in another one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's definitely, even here down, you have a lot of people that are my friends that are in Border Patrol down here, and they learn Spanish at the academy, and and some of my friends that are Puerto Rican, and some of my friends are Mexican, of Mexican descent, so they, the words mean different things. It's the same word. For instance, ahorita could mean, normally me growing up, if someone says ahorita, it means right now, but some from other people, it means later. It's the same word, but it could be interesting when you're out there in the field and you're talking to people. It can get confusing if you don't know what their background is.
And in Spanish, there's just so many different dialects because you have a lot of different countries too coming up through Central America. You got Honduras and I can't think of all of them, but there's, and then Haitians, which I'm not sure what their language is, but I just to be able to be down on the border and working down there as a Border Patrol agent has to be hard, and to be able to have to try and communicate with all these different people, it's just
definitely.
I can't imagine it being a very easy job.
Yeah, Haitians, most of them speak Creole, but so if you know,
do they?
If you know French, you might be able to communicate a lot of times. I found that in Miami as well, talking to the Haitians. But it's very, very interesting. All the different languages.
So where were you at when you retired from the military? Where were you stationed at?
Right, so that Miami was I thought was going to be my last duty station. I was about at my 16, 17. I was almost at 18 years. So I thought, the Army forgot about me. They're going to leave me down here in South Beach, and I'm going to retire out in the sunset. Sure enough, I started getting emails right before my 18-year mark. So I couldn't drop my retirement my packet yet, and of course the Army knows that. So they said, "Hey, you're going to Fort Huachuca," and I was like,
who?
"No." It's funny because I've known about Huachuca. I started my career in Fort Huachuca. My AIT, my training was here.
Was it? Okay.
So I came in 1996.
Well, the reason I say that is because I know MI used to be at Fort Devens, and then they moved them from there out here to Fort Huachuca. So, but I don't remember what year that was.
Yeah. So when I came through here in '96, my first dose of Fort Huachuca. I loved it. The mountains, and I was here in November, so I got to see a little bit of snow up there, snow capped, and I was like, this is very, very different from Texas. And I liked it, but I wasn't here very long. And throughout my career, I'd come for short stints and, for my different NCO academies or different training and things like that. But I just never thought I'd live here. So sure enough, like I said, I was in Miami and I got that email and said, hey, we need you to go back and basically be an instructor or teach, to give back. I said, no, I don't need to do that. I'm kind of good where I'm at. And they said, no, it's the one thing you haven't done in your career is teach and fall under the TRADOC umbrella. So I said, nope, I'm really good here. But, we going back and forth, and obviously, the Army's going to win that fight.
Yeah.
So I came kicking and screaming. But then, living here is definitely a lot different than coming for classes. So once I got here, the family got here, I fell in love with it. My kids, they found their friends, and obviously up front, they really missed Miami, and they just wanted to go back. And they were like, they were younger, so they're like, Dad, why can't you just quit your job?
Right.
It doesn't work that way. Or
it doesn't work like that. You can't give a 2 weeks notice.
Yeah, or they would say, Dad, why can't you just tell me you want to go back? I'm like, it doesn't work that way either. We kind of just got to stick it out. But like here we are, and so now they, and that was in 2014 when I got here, and then I retired in 2017 from right here in Fort Huachuca, and at that time I'd gotten divorced, and I was going through a divorce at that time, so didn't want to leave my kids. I wanted to stay close to them. That was very important to me. I didn't want to, just jump on a contract and leave, and then be very far away from them. My older daughter, still hadn't graduated high school yet, and I told her I really want to stay around and be there for your graduation, and which I was fortunate to be able to do. So I stayed. Like I said, it grew on me. I love the city. It's definitely and it's funny because Arizona. I'm from Texas, the Lone Star State. But you look at the Arizona flag; it also has a Lone Star. It's the second Lone Star state. If you look at the flags.
Really, I never really paid attention to that.
Yeah,
Now I'm gonna have to look. Now that you pointed that out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely grown on me. And like I said, when I retired, I kind of just I fell in love with the place and I put in roots here and started volunteering in the area. I was volunteering here as an active duty soldier as well with the fire department. I went to the Citizens Fire Academy and went to the police, the Citizens Police Academy here. Because I wasn't sure, like I said, what I wanted to do when I wanted to grow up, I was still looking at those two possibilities. I went to EMT school. I went to Firefighter Academy. I started volunteer firefighting with Whetstone Fire. So I did some time with those guys. So I loved it. So I got to get to know all the first responders in the area. Going to the hospital, dropping off people, things like that, and it really, really gave me a bigger appreciation for the first responders in our area by seeing them and volunteering with them and just seeing what they do and what they sacrifice every day in our community. And my grandfather was a firefighter as well, so I saw that growing up. He was a veteran. He was a Navy vet. And then after he got out of the Navy, he went to become a firefighter, retired from the city of San Antonio Fire Department. So, I've always kind of a love for them and just really appreciate that. So that kind of got my start, was volunteering with them and kind of opened my eyes to things that were going on in the city. And I thought, wow, what else can I do to give back? And it just happened to work out that city council position came open.
And what year was that?
When the council position came open?
Yeah,
that was a year ago.
1 year ago?
1 year ago, a little bit over a year now. So in 2021, we had somebody on council that left, Sarah Pacheco. She moved out of the city limits, and one of the stipulations to be on city council is you have to live in the city.
Right.
So she moved out of the area into the county. So they opened her seat. So I needed to appoint somebody. So I applied. At that time, 22 people applied.
How many?
22.
22 people applied.
22 people applied.
Wow.
So 22 people were interested in the position, which is good. I love that people are interested, because we just had one right now recently. Same thing, and I'll talk about it in a second. But so yeah, we applied. 4 of us got interviews, and then I got selected, thankfully, for the job. So I've been doing it for over a year now, and now we're going through the same process right now. Our mayor pro temp, Rachel Gray, just had to resign her position because she's running for mayor now. Right. So we had to fill somebody. So now somebody went to the state. So it was nice to see that side of the process. So now I was on this side of the process, looking at the applications, narrowing it down within the count with our other council members. So it's good to see both sides of the process.
Is that the council then that decides and votes on who gets the open slot, not the voters?
Right. So when it comes to appointments, it is the mayor and the council who gets to pick for that one, as opposed to an election where the voters get to pick.
So that's why it would be considered like an interview.
Right.
All right. Because there's a young lady veteran that I'm Facebook friends with, and she applied, and she was talking about her interview getting accepted. So I was like, interview accept? Because I'm not, see, I live in Hereford.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, being in Hereford, the city, the politics within the city affects us.
Yeah, it does.
But we don't have a say.
Yeah. And the way I look at it is we're all a big community.
Right.
Whether you're in the city limits or not, it affects everybody. A lot of people that live in the county have businesses in the city or work in the city.
Pay taxes.
Pay taxes. Their kids go to the schools in the city.
Yep.
We use the restaurants, the hospitals, the grocery stores. Everybody uses the stuff in the city. So we're all one big community when you look at it. And there's, on our outlying communities, Huachuca City, Palominas, there's not another Walmart out there. There's not another food city out there. So everybody comes in together and, and they see our events. They come for the events at the park and things like that. So I think we're all one big community, whether you can, vote or not.
One thing that I'm proud of my wife for being she's a school teacher. She teaches 3rd grade at Bella Vista. Right. And I love the fact that because I have I have an appreciation for what our teachers do and what they're going through and all the struggles that they're dealing with, not only like with supplies and getting paid, but then you have, unfortunately, school shootings across the nation that they have to deal with. But sitting here talking with you and listening to you, having your appreciation for all of the people within our community, man. That's just really inspiring.
Yeah.
That just hit me right here, man. It did.
My love
when you were talking about that.
Thanks, man. My love for teachers is pretty deep. It started with my mom. My mom was a teacher. Then she went on to be a principal. And she's still, even after she retired, she's still working with the education community at the college level in San Antonio. So it's just in her. And she always inspired me. And I thought for sure one day I was going to be a teacher myself. And that was another thing I looked into. And it's funny because then the military kind of sent me that way. So I'm an instructor now.
Right.
I was an instructor. I got instructor certified before I retired, and now I teach soldiers. So I'm still an educator. So it kind of still worked out that way. And then my fiance Nancy, she is an educator as well. So she used to teach a Head Start, and then she started teaching preschool. And then last year she was at Carmichael as a kindergarten teacher.
Oh, okay.
So she's my hat's off to her because it's definitely one of those jobs where obviously they don't do it for the money. Because there isn't any, and it's unfortunate.
Definitely not the hours.
Yes, definitely not the hours. They do a lot of stuff, and I see it firsthand that their contract is for so many hours, and that's all they get paid for.
Yeah.
But you can't. There's not a teacher that stays within those hours. I mean, she's there early, they're late, they're at home working on stuff, and they don't get compensated for any of that stuff. It's all in their heart, and they really you have to have the heart and just care to want to do that job, and I can't thank them enough. And people say, well, teachers do that job. They know they're not going to get paid. So, but that doesn't matter to me. They still are definitely underappreciated. And my hat's off to them, like you said. And it can be a dangerous place to be in this world that we live in now. And but they still choose to go in every day and and they will protect those kids with their lives. As you saw in Uvalde, unfortunately, those teachers protected those kids with their lives.
Yep.
And they just have that heart. So again, my hat's off to those educators out there, and I can't thank them enough, and I wish there was more that I wish that being in my position in the city that we could do something more to affect their pay and their wages and their benefits. Right. But that's a school district thing and that's a state thing. But
that's a state thing, yeah.
But we can just we try to offer solutions to maybe get grants and seek grants and funding like we do as a city. We reach out for federal grants and they're out there. So I really hope that our school district here starts to do more of that because that really, really will help their teachers in the long run, and their students is who I really want to affect is those kids out there. They want them to have a better fields to play on, better soccer fields, better football fields, so they can have a better time here in our city,
and a better education. Yes. Be able to have I don't know how to say it the correct way, but it's kind of like, a lot of students can kind of choose which school they want to go to, what kind of education they want, whether it's a charter school or a public school, or so at least that there are a lot more choices now too for them. So
yes, definitely.
So what are some of the items that you brought in to share with us here? I'm really excited to see these.
So we'll start off. I got all my little bags here. So I got my coins. So let's start off with these. I guess these are just some patches, right, that I have, and probably some of my favorite patches that I have amongst all my patches. So my Indian head patch from my 2nd Infantry Division in Korea is probably one of my biggest patches.
Wow.
It's just a really cool patch. I like it a lot.
Very cool.
Yeah, the Indian head there and 2nd Infantry Division. This is from San Antonio from 470th MI. We used to call this the Batman patch because it kind of looks like Batman from far away.
Like the bat signal?
Yeah, the bat signal. But that's from 470th MI in San Antonio. And then let's see what else. One of my deployment patches. So this is it's not an official patch. It's called more of a morale patch, like we say. But sometimes we'd wear them in Iraq, and just because it's one of those esprit de corps things, and it's kind of like, hey, we're already out here in Iraq. Who really cares what patch we're wearing? So sometimes we'd wear our morale patches around. And then another one of my deployment patches from USASOC from our first deployment when I deployed with those guys out there to Baghdad and Fallujah. Really good group of guys.
You know what that looks like? The air freshener that hangs from the rearview mirror.
In the rearview mirror?
Yeah.
So shout out to all the guys out there in USASOC still doing it downrange. And then you got patches like, you get your friends and they'll give you patches. Like I was never part of the 82nd Airborne.
Right.
But my friends were. So that, sometimes you see friends in the airport
exchange
or traveling.
Your patches, really?
You exchange patches.
Here's just like patch. Coins, right?
Yeah. And we'll talk about my coins in a minute. But here's my patch, buddy. And they'll give you your patch, and you kind of just keep it. I would keep it in my pocket. Think about that certain friend that I saw. And then you have there's a Korean patch. So the Korean, the special operators in South Korea,
closer if you can,
special operators in South Korea there that we worked with. They gave me one of their patches off their uniform,
very cool.
and I gave them mine. And we have our flags. Another thing I would, when you wear your flag and uniform, a lot of times, then when you're deployed, you wear this one with it's got the IR reflector on it, so that way you have a sensor overhead or a plane overhead, they can see that just infrared, kind of shows up that those are U.S. soldiers. But or you have your other flag that you wear on your uniform, and a lot of times I'd be out and about, and if somebody shook my hand or thanked me, or a little kid waved at me, I would give them my flag, just as a just a thank you for them for the support.
A lot of, well, not a lot, but I've read civilians saying, "Oh, this person's got their flag on backwards."
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
Blue
it's definitely not on
forward.
backwards. It's facing forward because we were always moving forward. So it looks like you're holding the flag and you're moving forward. So that's why it's that way. Yeah, I got that a lot. People would always ask me, "Why is your flag backwards?" It's not backwards, Then I got my recruiter badge from my recruiter time. So
oh wow,
this is for my desert uniform when I was in Tampa. We wore desert uniforms, which are gone now. But then you got the badge that went with it on your dress uniform. So for my recruiting time. So those are just some of my patches that I had
very
for
cool.
my units. And then some stuff that, like I said, we exchange stuff all the time. This is from the Colombian Special Operations, Socoit.
Look at that.
In Colombia, yeah. We're down there on a mission with those guys, and the guy took off his beret and said, "Here, man, I want you to take this back with you." And I was like, "This is an awesome beret. This flash is really cool. I can't take this." He says, "No, I want you to have it. You've helped us so much. Please take it." And so I was like, you know what? I took off my beret and I gave it back to him. And I said, "Here, you can take mine. And we'll figure out the headgear thing when I get home." But, for now, so we exchange headgear. So just things like that. It's just a camaraderie. We know it in the U.S. military, but it also exists amongst other countries. They feel that same camaraderie. And just from spending a few days or a week with those guys, you really bond with them. And so things like that happen. And then
Eric said, "Charging into battle."
Yes, exactly. Charging into battle with the flag. And then these are from South Korea. So, you wear them. So we have our U.S. rank, and then we'd wear these from our pockets. So with the Korean equivalent rank and our name on there and things like that. So I thought that was really cool.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so just kind of so they can...
At the same time?
Yeah, so we'd wear them...
So that way if they didn't speak English?
Yeah, they knew what rank we were.
Wow.
Right. So it was kind of cool. And then that's the unit there, the Special Operations Unit in Korea that I supported there. And I've always liked this motto, nothing is impossible is what that says there in Hangul and Korean. Really cool guys. I really like those guys there. And then they would also give us things like, gloves, just things like that. Yeah, and they would embroider them with your name on them, and they were just, I loved Korea, and they were really good to us. Like if they put at the time I was a staff sergeant, so Staff Sergeant Rodriguez there on the bottom. So, cold weather gloves and just things like that they would give us and look out for us, and we looked out for each other.
It's just like little mementos and stuff to
just little things
remember people.
Definitely, I remember them, and it means a lot. I obviously I still have to this day. Got a ruler. You always got a ruler somewhere. When it comes to putting your uniform together, and you can never find them when you need them. That's funny because this one belonged to my daughter. It's got little stars on it and stuff like that, as you can see. But this ruler went with me all over the place because for whatever reason, I never lost this one, and it always hung around. Maybe nobody wanted to steal it because it looked like a little girl's ruler or something with the stars, but it was perfect for me to put my uniform together wherever I needed it. And then, so we got
Kathy said, "Truth. Nothing is impossible." I love it. Yeah. And then she wants to know what was the toughest part about, or what was toughest about being in Korea?
Toughest part about being in Korea, for one, they have some very good winters. They have a lot of snow. So that was like the first time I'd ever have to dig myself out of the door or navigate through the snow. A lot of times, it's funny, they have an interesting system where a lot of the community comes together in the morning. They do have snow plows and things like that, but you have a lot of early risers that go to work early, and they go out and they shovel the snow for the whole street. They come in together, they sweep it all away, so that way the early birds can drive, make it like a little path. So that was one interesting thing about Korea. I was fortunate to have my family there. The second time,
Oh, so it was accompanied.
it was so.
Okay.
It was good. My I was there with my family the second time. A lot of people weren't, so I know that's tough being gone for a year without your family. So I'd say that's probably tough. And then just being so far away from the U.S., little things you miss. Commercials. It's funny because you watch the Super Bowl there. It's Super Bowl Monday because of the time zone. So
Right.
Super Bowl Monday morning. And you look forward like, oh, there's gonna be some great commercials, and you're like, oh no, wait, we don't have those here. So things like that you miss, just little things like that, little creature comforts. Um, just being able to drive wherever you want to go. It's just a lot of things that you take for granted when you live in a different country. Food was great though. Food was great. The people were great. They have an awesome transportation system. But you are very, very isolated out on that part of the world. So it's not a real easy flight to get back in case something happens. So that was tough. If there was some things that were going on in the U.S. that I need to attend to or visit somebody or check on, it was a while. It's a long flight or multiple flights. So that was kind of the toughest thing about being out there.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you, Kathy, for that question. Appreciate
Good question. Yeah.
We'll talk about coins. So we all, I keep a coin in my pocket every day. It's just one of those things that, I always think about. There should be a segment for veterans that says, "What's in your pocket?" Because, like that commercial, "What's in your wallet?"
Yeah. What's in your wallet?
Yeah, what's in your pocket? But as a soldier, we always had all these pockets everywhere, and I don't know about y'all, but for me, I always had the same thing in every pocket every day. It's just kind of how I got dressed, and I always had certain my pens here, and that's another thing I have is I always have a pen on me. It's just a veteran thing, and my daughter's the same way now, but I always have a coin on me, and so the coin is very historical when it comes to military. So a lot of times,
My problem with coins, though, is that
yeah,
when people give them to me, I've got ones like with the coat of armor of God and
yeah,
stuff like that. And because I like them so much, I don't want to give them to anybody
yeah,
else. I want to keep them.
yeah. Yeah, so like I said, I always have one on me in my pocket at all times, and it's just the tradition
What
that
does that say?
This one is from Iraq.
Iraq? Okay.
Yeah, Joint Forces Special Operations Command.
Wow.
So it's JSOC out in Iraq. It's a pretty cool coin. It's got an eagle there with the sword. It's one of my favorite coins. And just something about this coin. It always seems to come back to me. I've lost this coin a lot of times. I've misplaced it in laundry or changing or moving or traveling, and it always comes back somehow.
Somehow it finds its way back
pops,
to you.
so it's one of my favorite ones that I always have on me. And the coin we do, there's a lot of things that go with the coin. Just it can be you can coin somebody, whether you can say, all right, who's got the higher ranking coin. If you don't have a coin, you got to buy the first beer at the bar, things like that. So in Miami, we had a bar on base that was kind of ours that we kind of took over there. It was an Air Force place, but we made it the Special Operations Bar there in the Eagle's Nest in Homestead Air Force Base. So there'd be a lot of times we'd go there after work. That was our little watering hole, and Sergeant Major would come in, and that was his thing. And if you knew Sergeant Major was coming, you better have a coin because he had no shame, and he'd come up to our table and drop the coin on you. And if you didn't have one in your pocket, beers are on you. So, a lot of people learn hard lessons. To always keep one on them. But there's a lot of them that I have a bunch of them, but I bought probably some of my favorite ones today, just because for different reasons. I'll just go through some of these real quick. But this Sphinx coin is from here in Fort Huachuca, and I just think it's just a really cool looking coin. It's a Sphinx.
Wow.
It says Fort Huachuca on it. I got that one while I was stationed out here. Really cool coin. The biggest coin I have is this one from San Antonio. It's called a Super Coin. Yeah, it's like a belt buckle. It's a huge coin.
It's huge.
It came with like a little holder, like a little stand that you put it on. And
what's it weigh? About 20 pounds?
Yeah, it's a pretty solid coin. I mean, like it legit could be a belt buckle.
Yeah.
You can put that on a sock and hurt somebody.
For excellence.
Yeah.
Fort Sam Houston, Texas.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's one of the probably the biggest coins I have. And then let's see here. This is from Colombia. Same guys that gave me the beret. The Comando Conjunto de Operaciones Especiales, the Joint Command of Special Operations in Colombia. Gave me that coin. Pretty cool. I like that.
So other countries had coins.
Oh yeah,
too, huh?
yeah, definitely. So they would coin us. We'd exchange coins with them. Then you have someone that have people like the Secretary of Defense, Ashton Carter, gave me this one right before I retired. He came out here to Fort Huachuca, met him, so I got the coin there. And then you have even like the firefighters in the area. They have their own coins, right? So the fire department, I've got a coin from the fire chief before, from the fire union. That one's a bottle opener, which is kind of cool, kind of handy. If you have it in your pocket to keep a bottle opener, right?
Either that or a P38.
Yes, exactly. The old P38s from the MREs.
Yeah, I want to see if anybody has one. Bring them in.
Yeah, and I've met guys that have them they keep them in their pockets still.
Yeah.
You know, it's like one of those things. Like I said, what's in your pocket? I've known guys in the military that were in a while, and they always had a P38 either on their keychain or in their pocket somewhere. You know, this is from an Air Force chief, so I got that one when I was at Homestead Air Force Base in
Wow.
Miami. So, in an Air Force coin, kind of cool.
Don't let Tim see that one.
This is another firefighter coin. This is from the Arizona Fire School. One of the firefighters went to the fire
That's a
school.
sharp coin there.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a really
that.
cool looking one. They went to firefighter school and brought me one back. And then the let's see, another one from Korea Special Operations Command. That one's from Brigadier General Mills. He was my commander at the time. Gave me a coin. It's really cool. It's got a little tiger on it with a parachute there, and then all the joint units in the back. The 1-star general, and then my 4-star general, General Tommy Franks, when I was in Centcom, gave me this coin. Centcom there, you can see the little Centcom logo. He's got his 4-star.
There you go.
He's got his little 4-star general stuff on the back there. So that's a pretty cool coin. I like that coin.
Oh yeah.
4-star coin. Like I said, some people will go off rank. Like, well, I have a coin from a colonel. Well, I have a coin from a 4-star. So you kind of go back and forth on that
Right.
with your buddies.
Higher rank wins.
Yes, higher rank wins. Another joint one. This is a Korean coin. So I got that when I was in Special Ops Command Korea, from Unconventional Warfare Unit. Pretty cool coin as well. And it's in a little case, little plastic case.
Yeah.
Little that protects it. So I thought that's kind of cool too. Another one from Special Operations Command Pacific, Sock Pack, the Guardians of the Pacific. Another cool Air Force.
You notice a lot of eagles on those?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Eagle's a very big. When it comes to the military, one of the.
Is that a shoot?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a special operations man. So you got a parachute. You have the trident for the SEALs that were with us. Lightning bolts for the special forces guys that were with us. So it's a little bit of everybody when it comes to the joint world on the special operations side.
Betty says that Warrior Healing Center needs a coin.
Yeah, that would be
Did
cool.
you hear that, Kathy?
That'd be cool.
Let's get designing on that.
I like that. And there's another one from a Korean general, Lieutenant General Kim Jin-hoon. They're in Korea as well. I like this one a lot because it has
the shape. Yeah,
the shape, and it has the U.S. flag and the Korean flag side by side.
Very cool.
I like that because we were definitely a combined unit because you have joint, which is all the military services, and then you have combined, which is countries that work together. So
they had a lot of joint training ops over there too.
Oh yeah. We worked with them hand in hand, and we shared a lot of space with those guys, food, and just a lot of good times. For another Fort Huachuca coin, I like it. Again, it's got the Sphinx. It's got the Sergeant Major,
and it's got different design, not just round.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The
makes
shape
it unique.
Yeah, definitely unique. And then my last one here is from.
Is that France?
No, this is from Baghdad.
Baghdad,
so,
okay.
So it's the Iraqi flag. So
okay,
that's from my last deployment there with Task Force Odin. Our company was the Raven, so Charlie Company.
What's on the back there?
It's a Raven. So
a Raven. Okay,
that was our company logo was the Charlie Company Ravens. Again, this is like a little plastic thing, but yeah. So it's got a Raven there, Charlie Company, presented by the command team.
Very cool.
So the commander and first sergeant there. So
who had that coin printed up? The Iraq troops, or
the U.S. troops
did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just like I said, I have a whole bunch of coins. Those are just some of my favorite ones, and I always keep one in my pocket, just in case I get coined. And then speaking of coins, I don't know if anybody knows what these are, but this is money. These are called POGs. So when we're deployed in Iraq, they don't have
Iraqi money,
really? No, so it's actually U.S. money.
It's U.S. money
from the PX, right? So they didn't have any change available in the PX. They didn't want to bring any change, so they had dollars. But if you had change, they didn't have a lot of change available. So instead of just not giving you your change, they'd give you these things called POGs. So it's paper money.
Oh yeah, POG. I know what POG is.
So then you could use it. You could use it at the PX, places like that. Any APS.
Right here.
I'll grab it. But yeah, so some of these are 25 cents, 10 cents, 5 cents. They're all the same shape and weight and size, but That's kind of like what our answer was to not having change available. It's pretty interesting. So I thought, wow, they're giving us paper money. Yeah,
I remember when Pogs were big. When my son was younger, he used to collect some type of Pogs for comic books.
Yeah, comic books. Yeah,
something like that.
So we had them as money.
Very cool.
And then
speaking of money,
right? So then I got my money bag here, and just some different money from different countries I've been to. These are all from Qatar, so these are riyals, Qatari money. It's very pretty, actually. It's got a lot of design on it.
Very pretty.
A lot of colors into it.
Blue? A lot of blue.
Yeah. It's got little holograms in there. Very cool money. Korean won, so that's 10,000 won, which was at the time about $10. So you got Korean money there. Some more Korean money, 1,000 won. So with 11,000 won, I could probably get lunch. Yeah, lunch and a drink. Then I got some Iraqi money, which looks like Monopoly money, $25.
Well, if that one was the other ones you were talking about, $11 for lunch, you said you might be able to buy a gallon of gas.
Yeah, you could get about 1 gallon of gas now, probably with that $11. But this is some Iraqi money. Again, very, it's real thin though, real weird. And some more Iraqi money.
Oh, that's Saddam on there?
There's Saddam, yeah.
Central Bank. Gosh.
So this is the money that basically went out of print. So once we went out there, they said, all right, this money's no good anymore. So we had a lot of people that had millions of dollars, but it's not worth anything.
I bet collector value wise, though, it is.
Yeah. So more Saddam money. And the newer money, which didn't have Saddam's face on it, kind of looked like that. So.
Oh, would it have his head cut off?
Yeah. It just had palm trees instead. So palm trees, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, but he was gone off that. He was a little longer in the picture at this point. So different countries.
Thanks to our troops.
Yeah, thanks to our troops. So I got some. Let's see, that's more Iraq. Belize. So when I was down in Belize, some Belizean money, $2 in Belize, and Colombia, some pesos, 1,000 pesos in Korea, a few thousand pesos. I'm sorry, in Colombia, a few thousand pesos there. Some money from the Bahamas. So. Just,
what's that? Right there.
Yeah, $1 from the Bahamas.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Got a band on it. It's pretty cool.
Do you know who that who the picture is of?
I'm not sure. It was who that is, but I think it's it says Sir Lyndon Pindling is who that is on the Bohemian dollar. Yeah. So
nobody I've heard of.
No, so yeah.
But no, man, that's really cool.
Yeah, interesting money. Just anytime I traveled with them, anywhere I've gone, I bring back a few in my wallet.
Heck yeah, I don't blame you.
Some coins, Iraqi coins. I bought this in a bazaar when I was there in Iraq. They have them set up all over the place, and for the soldiers to buy, little mementos to take with them, and so I bought that. It's got all the different dictators or presidents, whatever you want to call them, from Iraq, and then the flags and coins. This one again has Saddam on it with the Iraqi flag. They used to have that stuff around. A lot of stuff with Saddam's face, obviously. And then some more of the money that had his face on it. So, yeah. Iraqi stuff. And then also from Iraq, prayer rug.
Need me to hold that for you? Or?
So, whenever you...
got it?
Whenever you go to leave somewhere and they give you a gift, going away gift, this is from Iraq. So,
there we go.
Yeah, so that's a prayer rug. So it had the Operation Iraqi Freedom, had my name on it, from the hookah club, right? So the hookah club is we get together and smoke cigars, smoke
very
hookah.
Cool.
Hookah.
Don't forget your.
Oh yeah, my pog's down
your
there.
Cog down there.
Yep. So we get together, smoke hookah, smoke some cigars, which is just another esprit de corps thing. We get together and just things that veterans do when you get together, little things like that. Before you let somebody goes away, you give them a going away gift, just like we do now anywhere else. So it's kind of what we do. I bought some stuff for Mike.
So Eric said COB.
Cobb Spiker.
I don't know.
Yeah, Cobb Spiker. Yeah, I was in. I started off in the Cobb Spiker in that's where my unit was at. That's where Task Force Odin was at Spiker. So in 2009, and then I spent most of my time in Baghdad. Though my unit was at Spiker.
And then Kathy asks here, if I can bring it up, the hookah club, you should bring that to the Chill Factor when we have the inaugural Veteran Business event.
Oh, that's a good idea. So I brought some cigars too. Just like I said, one of the things I just always you seem to have around with, veterans. You can share a cigar at any time. And we smoked plenty of these up on top of palaces in Iraq when somebody was leaving, when a mission went well. Unfortunately, if somebody passed away, you kind of salute them that way. So just little things that we do in the military that still stay with me. Just share a cigar and things like that. And I brought you a coffee mug as well, Mike, from Fort Huachuca.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Somebody must have ratted me out that I have a coffee cup collection.
That's for you.
So I have to ask you, out of every place that you've been stationed, looking back, what do you think was your favorite duty station?
Ooh, I'd have to say it's hard. It's hard to say, but I brought that for you. You can have that too, a little veteran
Oh,
patch.
well, thank you.
Yeah. Put it on your backpack or a hat or whatever you got.
I will do that.
Probably my favorite, I'd have to say, was probably when I was in Miami, Homestead, Florida. Met a lot of good people there. Really loved the mission. Loved the food. Got to travel a lot.
Beaches?
The beaches were awesome. The Keys, are right there. A lot of good motorcycle weather. I really, really loved Miami. I really fell in love with that place, and I thought I would never leave there. But yeah, that's probably my one of my favorite duty stations had to be probably Miami. Tampa, Florida is the second one. Probably second close, but just being in Florida as well. So a lot of people say, "Man, you were fortunate. You got to be stationed in Florida twice," and definitely was. 4 years in Tampa and 4 years in Miami. So,
well, I have to say, Sierra Vista was lucky we didn't lose you to Miami or Florida.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah. And I used to think that Florida had beautiful sunsets until I spent a lot more time here, and the sunsets here are especially now during monsoon. There's
right.
Beautiful sunsets that definitely rival all the ones that
we had a pretty good lightning show the other night.
Yes, too. Yes. That's another cool thing that I like about the areas is the lightning shows, and
as long as it doesn't start wildfires.
Yes, which happens, but thankfully our wildland firefighters are out there waiting and ready to attack those fires when they happen.
Were you here in 2011 or no? You weren't.
I was
right?
not. No,
okay.
I was not here in 11 for the Monument Fire, but
yeah.
Obviously you can still see to this day the effects it had on our community.
Well, my wife and I, we lost everything.
Yeah.
We were like where the fire jumped the highway on Father's Day, and it came in, and we had a manufactured home and 2 classic cars. But you know what? You can replace property.
Yeah.
You can't replace human life.
Very true.
And that was the biggest thing that I was thankful for, that nobody was killed.
Yeah.
So
yes.
You can always replace, as we did.
Can. Yeah. Very true. It's people first. I always want to take care of your, the people that you can't. They're unreplaceable. But yeah, stuff it's tough. And I hate to hear when people lose everything, but it's good to see when people are resilient and they bounce back from it and still move on. You still move forward after an event like that, and which is tough. And I definitely I don't wish that on anybody, but people that do go through that, I'm glad to see that they're resilient, like I said, and still hanging on, still fighting, and living to tell the story.
What is one of your community activities, other than the city council, that you're involved in? For example, I kind of heard that you like to maybe cook or grill.
I do.
You did that here?
Yeah, I love grill. Yeah, we had an event here. My students, because I'm an instructor now at the NCO Academy on Fort Huachuca. So I have multiple classes every year that come through, and they always have we give them a class project to do. We tell them, look, I give them all the resources. Here's a list of people in the area, such as the Warrior Healing Center. Contact them, whoever it is, set up a date, time for you to do a project for your community while you're here. And we kind of just leave it in their court. This last class, they chose the Warrior Healing Center. So they made the phone calls, they set it all up and said, hey, let's do a Battle Buddy barbecue. And so that was great because I love to cook and I love to grill. I love any reason to grill. I love it, and it's a labor of love for me. I just, from marinating the meat, to trimming it up, getting it all ready, put it in the fridge, and just I can't wait to the next day where I just start. It's an early day. If it's a brisket, for me
Oh, I
it's
love
oh
brisket.
yeah, and for me that's an hour a pound. So it's I do straight charcoal. I don't do any pellets or propane. Being from Texas, it's just in me. I got to do it that way. But like I said, I don't mind. It takes a longer time, but I love it. I love smoking, the wood and just the flavors that bring out. I love experimenting with different. I have my favorite marinades, but I also don't mind experimenting, trying new things. People bring me some different things to try, and I love cooking for people, and it's hard for me to cook small a lot of times. I just kind of cook for just the way I was raised and made. I cook big when I do cook, and I love grilling. So that's definitely one of my hobbies. If somebody says, "Hey, we're having a cookout, you mind cooking?" I don't mind at all. Uh, just let me know where and when to be, and I bring my own little cooking fighting tools. I call them, my utensils or whatever. I love it. So that's one of the things I love to do, hobby wise.
What about community wise?
So community wise, since I got here in 2014, I reached out, just like everywhere I've gone, every duty station I've been to, I look in my community and say, where can I volunteer? So every duty station I've been at, I've done something for the community. It's just part of what I do, and it was no different when I got here. I looked around and I got with the fire department and I started doing smoke detector checks, and I still do it to this day. The third Saturday of the month is we there's a you can call the it's fire station 203 here on Julio Cesar, and you can schedule with them. 417-4400 is the phone number. 520-417-4400. I'm pretty sure that's the number. But anyway, call station 3. And what we'll do is we'll go out and look at your smoke detectors. We'll change the battery. And this is all free. This is free of charge. So because the fire department has done well at getting grants and stuff like that. They have some ambitious firefighters that went out and got some grants and started the program off. So we'll come out, look at your smoke detectors, change the battery. We'll install detectors. Every house you should have a detector in the rooms you sleep in and common areas is where we recommend having smoke detectors. We'll change the battery once a year, and a detector is only good for 10 years. So we'll look at it. We'll make sure it's functioning and servicing. We'll look at the age and tell you if it's older than 10 years. We'll tell you where to go, which one to buy, give you all that stuff. That way, but there's some older people in our community that don't get out as much or can't get out. So I'll make some calls or I'll go get it myself and bring it back to them and install it for them as well. Because that's big for me. Safety, community safety and something like fires. And our fire department, fortunately, in our city, a lot of times they do more medical calls than they do fires. And that's a good thing because we don't have that big, a lot of the older communities, older cities on, say, East Coast that have a lot of taller buildings, older buildings that are made of flammable things like wood, stuff like that. We don't really have that problem in our community, which is good, which means a lot of people are being more fire-wise and things like that. We have a lot more prevention out there. They still do happen. I mean, you see houses catch on fire still. It's just not as common. And the firefighters here run a lot more medical calls. Thankfully, we have that help in the community. But things like that, the smoke detectors, I'd rather do that. That way the firefighters are able to do other things, bigger and better things out there for the community. They'll still do it at any time. You can call any of the fire stations. You can even call 911 and say, my smoke detector is beeping. I don't know if it's a legit fire or not, because sometimes you can't see the fire. It'll be in the attic.
Right.
It'll be in the wall. It might be your neighbors, things like that. So just call. I always encourage everybody. They feel bad. I don't want to call in the middle of the night. No, call in the middle of the night. That's fine. Somebody will come. If it can wait, call the number during the day and schedule with us. It's always the third Saturday. But I do stuff off schedule. If Saturdays don't work and a weekday's better, or people forget and I call them like, oh, sorry, I'm in Tucson, I totally forgot. Let's do it Monday then. So I'm always flexible when it comes to that, because that's important to me is safety. So that's one of the things I like to do for our community is the smoke detector program.
Is that thing include when you said smoke detectors go bad after 10 years? Is that also including the ones that are hooked up electrically?
Yes, yeah. So there's the battery backup, the ones that connect to your house. For them, they're all the same. So 10 years is what we recommend on those. Now, a lot of them will function a lot longer than 10 years. For the majority of the house, I see a lot of houses here in the area that were built in 99, 2000, 2001, and those detectors are still there. And people just didn't know. They didn't know that after 10 years you got to replace them. I didn't know. Yeah, so we'll go out there, like I said, give them some literature, tell them, hey, go to Ace, you go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, wherever you prefer, and here's what you want to look for, here's what you want to buy, and then call us back. We'll come out there and install them for you. So we don't want anybody to get on the ladder that shouldn't be on a ladder, because that could lead to other things like falls and
Yeah.
and emergency room visits. So we don't want to do that. And we'll come back out and do it. Change the battery every year and change those detectors or add them as needed.
Well, I guess you'll be expecting a call from me then, because mine are about 10 years old.
Yes, I'll definitely come out. Me or somebody on the crew. I have some volunteers that have been helping out for a while. And that's another thing. We've had some soldiers that are always looking for, things to do while they're here. And if I get a call about that or a message, hey, I got a group of soldiers that need something to do. They're looking for something to do. I say, hey, well, third Saturday of every month, they can come help me or help some of the other guys that are out there doing it with me. So it's good for them to give back that way.
And if we have any veterans that are at home that maybe
Yes.
are looking for something
Yeah,
to do,
and also
that might be a good thing.
Yeah, speaking of veterans, the VFW had started donating detectors, the actual detectors too, and storing them at the fire department. So that was an awesome program that they did for veterans, saying, when they make the call and an appointment, ask them if they're a veteran. If they're a veteran, they can get a free detector that the VFW paid for. So I really appreciate that they did those things, because however they went about it, they did a drive or somebody donated it. I don't know how they got it on that end.
Right.
But they contacted the fire department and said, here, we have some smoke detectors that we want to give to veterans in the area, and because they knew that we do the program.
I'll tell you, you're such a fascinating interview, and with all of your memorabilia that you brought in and shared with us, I could probably sit here and talk to you for another hour and a half.
I definitely enjoy talking to you.
But do you have, in closing here, do you have any parting words of wisdom or anything that you'd like to share with any of our veterans that might be watching at this time?
Yeah, I just want to say, for one, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all the service, anybody that served at all. From the bottom of my heart, no matter
Amen.
what conflict, what year, what branch you served in, bottom of my heart, I thank for you. For people that even try to serve, that, even the people that went to MEPS and found out something's wrong with their bodies, they couldn't serve. At least they tried. People like that, I know they wanted to give their all, and they just couldn't. But I appreciate that as well. And there's a lot of veterans out there, and I hate to hear it. From when I was, you hear the veterans that came back from conflicts of Vietnam and they weren't welcomed home. And fortunately, I never had to deal with that. It was a different time for me when I came back. I mean, people welcomed us with open arms and offer us veteran discounts, things like that. But that hasn't always been the case.
Right.
And I hate that our country went through that. Our veterans had to deal with that. And obviously, we're in a different. It's a different country now, where we're obviously trying to rectify that and make sure people know that we are thankful for anybody's service, and I really appreciate that. And to the youth that's out there still wanting to do as well, like my daughter, she surprised me when she wanted to join the military. It was never a requirement for me for any of my kids to join, but if they want to do it, I definitely support them. And so I'm very proud of her for doing that as well. And I love that the place like Buena High School still has the JRTC program. Kind of give those youth that are maybe thinking about the military a little bit of introduction to that. So all those JRTC instructors a lot of them are. I mean, obviously all of them are former. They're veterans, and they just wanted to continue to serve that way. So my hat's off to them that work at the schools and with the youth and things like that. And I really appreciate everything the Warrior Healing Center does. This awesome place that you have here to do live streams from is really, really cool. And I was really surprised when I got my first tour of this building. If you haven't been out here at the Warrior Healing Center, come check it out. Come get a tour. Come see what's available. And you might be surprised. There's a drum circle tonight, I think, right, at 6:00.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not at 6 though. I think it's at
later.
It's at 4.
Later this evening, there's a drum circle, which is
Yes.
cool. And I've also been in here where they do. They're playing
1600 to 1800.
1600, 1800 for the drum circle. Yeah. If you haven't witnessed that, come check it out. It's really cool. They also offer they play the flute. I've been here for that. Where
Native American flute.
Yeah, they have the flute, the little flute circles you can come do. I think those are on Thursdays. But really, really cool things going on in this building. So if you haven't been out here, come check it out. And again, thank you to all the organizations out there that are helping the veterans in the area. And if you feel like you need any help, or like the city can do it, I can put my city hat on and talk about that. Reach out to me as council member, Councilman Rodriguez. And if you need something or you're not sure about something, if the city can help or not, please reach out to me and let me know. And I will definitely, do what I can to either help out or point you in the right direction, because I want to make sure all the veterans in our area are aware of all the programs out there, and I really appreciate the invite as well to be
Oh,
here
thank
today.
you, Mark. I think that it was God's way of blessing me some way that our paths crossed, and
Yeah.
that I was able to have you come in and do this live stream because again, I could. You're so fascinating. Not that none of our other veterans aren't, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
I could sit here and talk for at least
Oh
another
yeah.
hour or two about
Oh, I love it.
everything.
I love
So
hanging out, and I think I'm glad we met that day. It was meant to be, and
I think it was.
yeah, and you had the lady vets there, and my
Yeah.
fiance is a Marine Corps vet, so she saw the Marine vet hat, so that made us kind of stop and check out the booth. So
Yeah,
it was just meant to
Women
be.
Army Corps, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Women Army Corps
Mm-hmm.
was out there, and
Yeah.
I gotta say though, for that July 4th picnic, there was or not picnic event.
Right.
There was quite a few booths. I mean,
There
it was
was.
a pretty good turnout,
There
and
was.
a lot of community activity
Yes.
coming in too. So
Yeah, I love it. It keeps getting bigger every year, and a lot of people are coming out to all those things, and I love to see it.
well, Mark, thank you so much. Can you
Appreciate it.
stick around while I got
Sure.
read a couple announcements
Sure thing.
here real quick?
Yeah, no
So
problem.
just a few quick announcements. The upcoming events that are coming up tomorrow, starting at 0800, going to 1000 hours, we're having the Legion breakfast at the American Legion Post 52, and the cost for that is only $6. Also tomorrow morning, starting at 0930, going to 1030 hours, is the weekly PMCS, and that takes place here at the Warrior Healing Center. That is a support group. Time to pay the bills with the announcements. Amen, brother. I want to know why he's not standing back behind me like he was last night. I watched their interview they had yesterday. This was their first podcast with Tim and Eric, and I forget the gentleman that was sitting over here. But they're doing a veteran-owned business podcast now every Thursday.
Right on.
So that's something else that our viewers get to look forward to. And Eric is one of the co-hosts. On
Awesome.
Sunday, July 24th, starting at 1600, the American Legion Post 52 is having their infamous meat raffle. That's all it says on here, meat raffle. But they sell tickets, I think, and then they have all these different cuts of meat.
Okay.
I haven't been to one, but from the way it was described to me, it sounded pretty good. It didn't cost a lot of money to buy the tickets either.
Sounds like something I can grill up.
Yeah, something you can grill up. There you go. We're having a blood drive also at the American Legion Post 52 on Monday, July 25th, starting at 0900, going to 1400 hours. There's the Marine Corps breakfast that starts at 0900, goes to 1000 hours on Monday, July 25th, it will be at the Landmark Cafe. Also Monday, July 25th, starting at 1730, going to 1830 here at the Warrior Healing Center, is the five treasures of Qigong. My wife saw the sign when she came in last week, and she goes, Michael, we're doing that. So I don't know, I might be getting in trouble here. On Tuesday, July 26th, starting at 1900 hours, going to 2000 hours, is the Thunder Mountain Detachment, the MCL monthly meeting that would be taking place here at the Warrior Healing Conference Center. And as you spoke of, on Thursday, July 28th, at 1700, going to 1830, is the Flutes for Vet Circle, where they teach you how to play a flute, and then eventually you graduate and you're presented with a beautiful Native American flute from what I was told.
Yeah, somebody played taps last time I was here. That was amazing.
Gosh,
really? She did an amazing job. She played taps with the flute. Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, that's the song that I hate to hear the most.
Yes.
Because it's such a beautiful song, and it makes me cry.
It does. It touches
every time I hear it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Saturday, July 30th, starting at 0800, going to 1000 hours, is the 40/8 breakfast, which is at the American Legion Post 52, and the cost for that is only $6. So again, Mark.
Spotlight Thursday.
We got another question down here, real quick, Coach. Oh yeah, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Coachy Spotlight Thursdays at 5 p.m. So make sure to check Eric and what's your co-host name there, Eric?
For Spotlight Thursdays.
Yeah. Because I watched the interview yesterday and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So,
yeah, I saw them in the background and stuff like that. Pretty cool.
All right, so that's it for the interview. Make sure to join me next Friday.
Robert,
there. Thank you, sir. So make sure to join me next Friday as I'll have another veteran sitting in the hot seat, as you can say. There you go, Robert Ishoy, and then Divine from Ruby's Divine Chocolates, another local veteran-owned business that we definitely want to support.
Yeah, I know the people from there. They used to. One of my kids were going to the after school program there at Huachuca Mountain. His wife there.
Well, that's it. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, everybody, have a great day and a good weekend. We'll see you next Friday. Bye.